Atlanta is one of the fastest growing cities in America. It's home to over 6 million people in its metro area, a booming economy, 4 major professional sports teams, and a culture that's influenced the entire country, from music to film to business. On paper, it should be the perfect place for the NHL to succeed. Yet hockey in Atlanta has been a disaster. Not once, but twice. Both times, the city's hockey dreams ended with heartbreak, empty arenas, and relocation. So how can a city that's thriving in almost every other sport be such a graveyard for hockey? Let's find out. In the early 1970s, Atlanta was an up-and-coming city that wanted to be seen as a major league market. Ted Turner's media empire was growing. The Braves were already in town. The Falcons had arrived in the NFL, and city leaders wanted more. Hockey was booming in the north, and the NHL wanted to expand southward to grow its audience. In 1972, the NHL awarded Atlanta its first franchise, the Atlanta Flames. They were given a modern new home, the Omni Coliseum, and a marketing plan to introduce the city to hockey. And at first, it looked promising. The Flames had winning records in several seasons. They made the playoffs 6 out of 8 years, and they even drew crowds of 14,000 on good nights. But here's the problem. In the South, hockey was still a foreign concept. Most fans in Georgia had never skated, let alone followed the NHL. There was no generational fan base to pass down the passion. The Flames' biggest challenge wasn't on the ice, it was in the seats. Even with playoff runs, they struggled to fill the arena consistently. Attendance was respectable by expansion team standards, but financially, the numbers weren't enough to compete with bigger markets. By 1980, a Canadian businessman named Nelson Skalbania bought the team and immediately moved it to Calgary, where hockey culture was already deeply rooted. And just like that, the NHL's first Atlanta experiment was over. Fast forward almost 2 decades. Atlanta had changed. The city had hosted the 1996 Olympics, grown into a global business hub, and developed a reputation as a cultural capital of the South. The NHL wanted back in. In 1999, they awarded the city a new team, the Atlanta Thrashers. From day one, the NHL hoped things would be different this time. The city's new arena, Phillips Arena, now State Farm Arena, was built with modern amenities and easy access to MARTA transit. The marketing focused on making the Thrashers fun and exciting, with a flashy bird logo, loud game day experiences, and a push to attract families and young fans. At first, the Thrashers brought in curious crowds. There was optimism. The team drafted future stars like Ilya Kovalchuk and Danny Heatley, and in 2007, they even made the playoffs for the first and only time in franchise history. But behind the scenes, the cracks were already forming. The Thrashers were owned by Atlanta Spirit LLC, a group that also owned the NBA's Atlanta Hawks and the arena. This group was more interested in basketball than hockey. In fact, internal disputes among the owners became so toxic that they literally stopped putting serious money into the Thrashers. Instead of building a long-term contender, the team constantly cut corners. Payroll was near the bottom of the league. Stars like Kovalchuk left for better opportunities. Hockey is expensive to run, travel, player salaries, arena upkeep, and without investment, the Thrashers were doomed to mediocrity. From 1999 to 2011, they had just 1 playoff appearance and 0 playoff wins. For fans, that's a tough sell. For casual Atlantans, it was even tougher. Atlanta is a football-first city. The Falcons dominate headlines in the fall. College football, especially the Georgia Bulldogs, is practically a religion. Then you've got the Braves, who have deep roots, and the Hawks, who have been part of the city's identity for decades. Hockey, it's still viewed as that sport from up north. When the Thrashers came to town, there wasn't a large base of lifelong hockey fans to build from. The city did have a growing population of northerners moving in, many of them hockey lovers, but they weren't enough to sustain 41 home games a year. The NHL underestimated how much time and money it takes to grow a sport in a market with no tradition for it. Here's the cold reality. Even in their best seasons, the Thrashers ranked near the bottom in NHL attendance. In their final season, 2010-11, they averaged just 13,469 fans per game, 28th out of 30 teams. And that number was inflated by giveaways and discounted tickets. When fans don't show up, revenue collapses. And without revenue, a franchise can't survive, especially when ownership is already disinterested. By 2011, it was over. The ownership group wanted out, and the NHL was open to relocation. True North Sports and Entertainment, a Winnipeg-based group, swooped in. Winnipeg had lost its original Jets team to Phoenix in 1996 and was desperate to bring the NHL back. In May 2011, it was official. The Thrashers were gone, reborn as the Winnipeg Jets. Atlanta had lost its second NHL team in 31 years. Why Atlanta keeps losing teams? Looking back, the failures in Atlanta boil down to a mix of factors. Ownership issues. Neither the Flames nor Thrashers had stable, committed owners who truly believed in hockey in the city. Lack of deep fan culture. Without a generational connection to the sport, casual fans drifted away during losing seasons. Market competition. Football, baseball, and basketball dominate attention, leaving hockey as a niche product. Poor on-ice performance. In 19 combined seasons of NHL hockey, Atlanta's teams won a grand total of 0 playoff games. Arena location and atmosphere. While centrally located, Phillips Arena was not built primarily with hockey sightlines in mind, making some seats less desirable. Here's the twist. Despite 2 failures, the NHL hasn't completely closed the door on Atlanta. The city is even bigger now, the suburbs are booming, and the youth hockey scene, while still small, is growing thanks to programs at local rinks. There's talk of a potential new arena in the suburbs, where the NHL could try again with better ownership and a long-term strategy. But the league knows one thing for sure: if hockey ever comes back to Atlanta, it won't survive on curiosity alone. It will need winning, investment, and a marketing plan that doesn't just sell tickets, it sells the sport itself to an entire region. Here's a crazy stat. In 19 total NHL seasons in Atlanta, the Flames and Thrashers combined won 0 playoff games. Compare that to Vegas, who won the Stanley Cup in just their 6th season. Or take Nashville. They started in 1998, just 1 year before Atlanta's Thrashers, but today they average over 17,000 fans per game and have sold out playoff runs. Another number, Atlanta's last NHL season averaged only 13,469 fans per game. Meanwhile, Winnipeg, the city that took the team, immediately averaged over 15,000 in an arena that barely holds more than that. It shows that fan passion can matter more than market size. So the real question isn't whether Atlanta is big enough for hockey, it's whether the city can ever care enough to fill the seats and support a team through the ups and downs. Atlanta has proven it can host Super Bowls, World Series, and the Olympics. But when it comes to hockey, the city remains one of the NHL's most expensive lessons in market expansion. Because in the end, it doesn't matter how big your market is. If you can't win the hearts of the people, you can't win on the ice. Let us know in the comments. Should Atlanta get a third chance? And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into sports history, franchise failures, and expansion drama.